guys are doing to create these changes.
Yeah, look, it's really exciting. Our work revolves around, obviously we work globally and locally and in all the states around Australia and New Zealand, and importantly, what we're seeing is a real evolution of this work also going to the suburbs and country towns and small regional cities that are really, because Melbourne, can only grow so much, so we need the Ballarats and the Geelongs and the Bendigos and the Horshams and the Bairnsdales to really grow in their own, mini cities, so to speak, and create those laneways and urban, offerings. And 80% of Australians, at least, that live in the suburbs, which people always forget. And that's why I think our work retrofitting shopping centres to become more mixed use, which we've done in New South Wales and recently in a place called Eastlands in Ringwood, where we helped create a square and dining outside, and there's a wonderful massive new 21st century library with co-working spaces and a gallery, an art gallery, and community rooms and a piazza and an activated brand new transport hub, train station, all these things that the people in the suburbs don't have to always go to the city to get an urban offering. They can find community in their streets, in their places. They can find the best coffee there and the festivals and live, work and play in place. Mixed use density is really important for these hubs that we're going to have the second oldest population per head of population after Japan in Australia. So our ageing baby boomers don't really want to go into in God's waiting rooms and out in the sticks in these institutions. They want to actually age in place and be fit and healthy, and they'll probably live to 100 with all the new medicines and technology. So they'll have a whole wellness revolution. So placemaking becomes important for them. They want to live and walk to cafes and cinemas and also volunteer back to their community, and all these things are all part and parcel of the things that we work with. And currently we're doing a lot of work in retrofitting suburbs, but also universities, like in Monash University in Melbourne and La Trobe, that they become more place-like, and students want an environment that they feel proud and they can eat, connect, walk, cycle. All these things become intrinsic to our wellness and well-being.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so good. It makes me so happy listening to this, because I really do believe that connection is medicine, and that unfortunately, in this digital age, you just see people moving so much further away from it. So to bring it back in, and especially for the younger people coming up, and it's great that you're providing and thinking about the university spaces, but just generally appealing places for young kids or youth or even young adults to hang out in and be happy to hang out in, and not see it as in a drag away from their device, And so I think that that's a really important, going to be a massively important, I suppose, have a massively important impact on the wellness of our younger generation.
That's right. We're working a lot with young people. The McPherson Youth Foundation we do a lot of work for, and the FYA Foundation for Young Australians, which is the largest youth foundation, where with the McPherson Youth Trust we train up. We've trained up a few hundred young people now over the last few years in terms of giving them the skills to become good citizens and good facilitators and good placemakers, so they can go back into their small towns and regional cities and work with their councils and facilitate community gatherings and help create and catalyse, what I call tactical urbanism, small wins, where they can do lots of little interventions at the smell of an oily rag, from community gardens or little, nighttime events or painting a mural or all these little things or, beautifying their main street. These things are about really at its core creating a sense of pride. When we love we always say you've got to get the locals to love the place first and the rest will come.
That's great.
And that's connection is medicine. So when we connect to places of beauty, and we know beautiful environments, people, and this is for the private sector, they've got it now where if you create beautiful environments or intimate environments, people stay longer. And we did that with Melbourne Central about 12, 15 years ago when we helped them did their master plan. Melbourne Central in Melbourne, when we did those 4 laneways, the piazza, and made them really fine-grained and interesting and quirky with local shops and food, and had a rooftop festival. All those key things made it a more interesting place, and that's the in their portfolio, the GPT group, that's their highest performing asset. So they also now understand that placemaking is also good for business, and if they give back a little bit to the community and create a real sense of place with the power of free, so we don't have to always go and buy at restaurants. We got in those centres, we've got free public seating, we've got buskers, we've got entertainment. You don't have to have money, but if they stay longer, they may have to buy a coffee or this or that. So that's also relevant to what we did in High Street Northcote at the when we created the Koori Night Market and the concept of the in High Street the arts precinct, where really catalyse a renewal where lots of free things happen there and people can hang out. And it's the same with Abbotsford Convent. It's public space, beautiful gardens, bring your food. Lentil as anything went in there, and wonderful cultural and entertainment facilities. It's a public space. This is for the people, for a legacy for the people. So placemaking becomes a really interesting narrative for both the private sector, which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's it's brilliant. So, I think people have, from listening so far, got a really good idea about, the benefits of placemaking and what it is and all the wellness benefits, and that, it's just, you just can't argue with it. It's brilliant. But I'm wondering, if there are people, obviously, that aren't doing this as a profession, and, we sort of talked about a few ideas that people could do to bring it into their everyday lives earlier in the show. But if someone does have an idea and that they do want to do something to make a difference, whether it is the examples you gave before of a little community garden or facilitating a live event in their local area, or all these different things to bring people together and create a connective environment, what sort of tips would you give them to feel empowered to be able to move forward to create this sort of change that they want to do? Because, it's great to have the ideas, but it takes more than having the idea to have the confidence and feel empowered enough to actually go ahead and action the idea.
Yeah, good question. I think there's a few things there, Lisa. I think one of the things is just do it, but also just do it.
Yeah, Nike got it right in that one, didn't they? Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. That's been my motto in life, and a lot of my colleagues and friends, and the best communities just do it. And the individuals who have ideas, usually, they go and gather a couple of other, knock on a couple of doors, get a couple of friends together and say, do you want to do this? As long as it's fun. The other thing, let's keep it fun, and easy. And doesn't have to, you don't have to build another group or have multiple meetings and a structure. You could have a potluck lunch or dinner and have a brainstorm and say, hey, let's meet up.
Yeah, great idea.
11 Sunday and at this park and plant a few things, or I'm going to go and, do a little drum circle at this, or I'm going to help clean Mary, who's 92-year-old Greek lady, her garden. You want to hang out with me? It's those sort of things that really are easy and fun. And then, the old thing is just do it. And it's low-hanging fruit. It can be cost-effective and be creative. In that fun, the other word is creativity. And going out and trying something. And if you've got something a little bit bigger, what's exciting is that a lot of councils now have got placemaking offices and community developments around placemaking, and they have small budgets. So I work a lot with communities and councils where they have little seed, they're called like Robin Hood project budgets, where the community can put up their hand, and if it's a great idea, they're given $100 or up to $1,000. And I know a community that gives a council that gives $7,000 a shot to their community. There's a whole heap of them that come together. That creates a new festival or public art, or they create a group. They create a collection of, a buying platform for organics from a local farmer. They can help set up those. I mean, there's hundreds of ideas. Yarn bombing to this, to that, whatever it is, keep it simple, just do it, make it fun and make it easy.
Yeah, great suggestions. And, it's even a little suggestion to add to that is where I used to live growing up, every year someone in the street, I don't know who it was, organised and had the council close off each end of the street, and we had a street party once a year with all of the residents in the street, and put barbecues out, and it was really good. And I think that I don't think people realise that that's even an option, some people, but councils will do that. Like, I know that it's not a hard thing to get approved.
Correct. It's so simple. And, as I said, we're all placemakers. When you create a party, all the rooms in the party are like placemaking, and putting decorations up, and food and music and candles and the welcoming
and I love all that.
All those things are that place. It's how we set up our environments to as you said before, to bring ourselves alive and connect. Connection is medicine.
That's right. And and for the last 2 years, I've run an event for women in business for this exact purpose. I started it because I felt that so many women were doing business online, and I was one of those women. And being in wellness myself, all of a sudden I felt like, oh my God, where's the connection element gone, the real connection? And so at that time, there is a lot of different connective events now for women in business, but 2 years ago there weren't so many that felt really safe and comfortable. So I started that, and for the last 2 years, every month have done that, and it really brings people together, and you walk out with your heart expanded, and your ideas and your creativity is so much better, and you just feel good. And it just the ripple effect of that into your relationships and the way that you communicate with people and how you are when you come back from connecting in person, it's just it has such a great impact. And speaking to you today has made me gone, because I haven't scheduled any events for this year yet. But speaking to you today, I'm feeling like, I think it's time to schedule some more. But, even speaking to you about that and what your suggestions were, even when creating a party, I think that for anyone listening that does create events, I think it's really important to think about some of the things you suggested there, which is about creating a vibrant space and not just having the place. So think about, how does someone feel when they walk into the room? What do they see? What do they smell? And thinking about all the senses when creating an event for other people to come and engage in and to feel good and get the benefits from.
That's right, and I think your listeners and the many small businesses, when I say we're all placemakers, whatever business you're in, one of the key things of, the Indigenous people is about the welcome. I think our success is how we are, is around our own self-awareness, how we welcome someone, and in those first few seconds we set the tone